no one in the waiting room for this Zoom meeting, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Well, before we do that, and before I share my screen, I just wanted to introduce who's with us this evening. Some are by video or audio, and some are by both audio and video. We have Mario Melanzi and Ben Turpening that are here with us from Upper 90 Energy, helped us with our energy audits and then just with the energy efficiency side of this project. We have Ross Rettler with Rettler Corporation. Ross is the man behind the design of the athletic complex and helped put that together for us. And then we have Ryan Iverson, who's with us from Market and Johnson. And so throughout the evening, if you do have questions, what we're going to do is there's a chat box, and if you have your questions, we would just ask that you put those questions in the chat. And then when we get to the end of the PowerPoint presentation, we'll take the time to answer those questions then. But as we go through this, the PowerPoint might trigger some questions that you might have. So enter those in the chat, and then we'll make sure to get them when we get to the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get started with the PowerPoint and then move on from there. Everyone just want to give me a thumbs up. You can see the PowerPoint good? All right, super. So again, this is just a PowerPoint that we put together to kind of talk about the highlights of our referendum and why, in fact, we are going to referendum here on April 6th in the Alma Center-Humbird-Merrilan School District. So to start with, we came up with the why are we doing this and what's the project scope. We always talk about in education, when we talk about our academics, we talk about what's the why. And so when it came to coming up with this project and determining what we wanted to address, we also wanted to start with the why behind that. And so we do, as the superintendent of this district, there was a long-range plan put together. There has been one put together, and those items seem to be building up and the cost behind those adding up. So we felt that due to the financial situation of the district and just some different things going on, it was a good time for us to go to referendum for this. So this first slide just talks about what that are on that. We wanted to address some capital improvement and energy efficiency projects, which are all part of this long-range facility plan. And again, we'll get to that as we work through this. And also the approval of a new athletic complex. So our educational facilities, we feel, are the best in the area. And now it's time we felt that our athletic facilities needing upgrading. And so that's what this referendum would cover as well. And as much as folks may disagree or agree with this, everyone has their own opinion, but we strongly believe that we attract residents to our district and our communities based on the fact that we have wonderful education facilities, and we feel like these athletic facilities could only help the situation and help us in the future attracting residents to our district. So with that being said, you see that the energy efficiency and the capital improvements brings the price tag of $1 million. And then the athletic complex, $3.9 million for a total referendum project of $4.9 million that we'll be asking folks to vote for on April 6th. Oftentimes, the first question we get is, what is the tax impact? And as you see in this bar graph here, the first bar graph is our actual mill rate and our taxes, tax levy for this year. We have done the research, and we're estimating that the referendum borrowing will not raise the district's tax mill rate from this past year. We feel that it will remain stable, and this is kind of the why behind that. For the past 5 years, the district has been paying down its debt, so we've been levying additional funds into our levy so that we can pay down our debt. And so by doing that, we've actually saved an estimated interest cost savings of over $730,000. And at the same time, we've reduced the length of the loan of the junior senior high school project by 3 years. So again, kept the levy stable when property valuation increased significantly. One of the things that we saw was 1 year the mill rate would be up higher, and then the next rate we could go down lower. And it was a little bit of a roller coaster. And so our school board, as well as our administrative team, realized that we wanted to keep that mill rate steady, so folks did know what their mill rate and their tax levy would look like from year to year. So that was a goal of ours, and we've been able to do that. And while at the same time paying down our district debt and cutting the length of our loan by 3 years. This new levy for referendum debt then basically is going to replace the prior levy that we used to prepay our existing debt. So basically we're swapping this new referendum debt for the prepayment that we've been doing for the last 5 years. What's all included in this project? Again, here you see a picture of the elementary school, one of the hallways, the 2x2 lighting you see in those hallways. We'd be converting all of the lighting into LED technology in both the elementary and the junior and senior high school. You see a generator in this picture that's reached the end of its life, and we would be replacing that. That generator no longer works, but it is part of a Jackson Electric load control program, which will decrease our electric rates. So if we do not have that generator in place, our electric rates are much, much higher than they currently sit. But because we're a part of this program, we do see a significant energy savings. And so that investment on that generator, we're looking at about a 7-year payback. On that generator based on the energy savings we see by having that generator. We'd also talk about at the elementary school, some HVAC upgrades, putting some variable VFDs, if you will, in the buildings to help with the airflow, and then just the building envelope improvements. So when you enter a building and the windows of a building, doing some things to make sure that we're keeping the heat in and the cold air out, or vice versa in the summer. And those are known as building envelopes. So we'd be addressing those items as well. And then finally, the destratification fans. In our gymnasiums and in our pool area, we actually have them in our pool already. We all know hot air naturally rises. And so what these destratification fans do, we have ceiling fans currently, but these destratification fans are more efficient in blowing that hot air down to the lower level of the gymnasiums, thus calling for heat within the gym. So those destratification fans just help reduce energy costs by just transferring that heat from the upper level of the ceilings down onto the floor. So that would be included in this as well. Again, as we look through the energy efficiencies, the upgrades would allow the district to be more efficient and reduce our total cost of ownership of those assets. So here's that estimated savings. First of all, you see that $18,948. That would be that annual operations and maintenance cost. We'd see a savings of that. And then we'd save approximately $45,000 per year in utilities. And then as far as the green side of the energy, we would see a 30% reduction in our energy consumption by installing the LED lights and moving forward with some of those energy efficiency projects. When it comes to capital improvement projects, the elementary school, again, that long-term plan, we typically seal our parking lots every 3 years, both at the Lincoln Junior Senior High School and Lincoln Elementary. And the last time we sealed at the elementary school, the contractor informed us that this would be the last time that we'd be able to seal at that parking lot, that the parking lot has reached its life. Again, you go back to 1997 when that building was built. And so now it's to a point where we need to replace that parking lot. And you can see this is the crosswalk area. There's many other pictures throughout the parking lot that you'll see significant damage and cracks, and actually in places where we've actually patched that just, again, we're to a point we just can no longer seal it and it needs to be replaced. And that is a big ticket item indeed. But throughout the elementary school, we have our 4K and through first grade wing. The flooring needs to be replaced in there. We've been able to do the second through sixth grade wings and have the carpeting in place in there over the last several years, but we've had to put off the the 4K through first grade wing for a couple of years now, just due to lack of funding. So we've been addressing those flooring needs. And then in the library and our school commons, if you've ever been in the building, if you ever look up in the ceiling, you realize that those tiles are not individually replaced tiles. It's all one big system, and the ceiling is actually starting to peel away, chip away, and we have parts actually busting or falling off, and it's just to a point where that ceiling needs to be replaced as well. And then you see the lights in this picture, that would also be part of that LED lighting replacement too. When it comes to the Lincoln Junior Senior High School, again, the auditorium, the main stage, that wood is been sanded down and reached to a point where that needs to be replaced. And then you look at the auditorium, the lighting is outdated and inefficient. If you, it's going to go ahead a slide here. You see here, this is if you're actually on stage and look up, this is the lighting that's currently in place. And the bottom line is the lights that we see in these fixtures, it's very difficult to even get bulbs for. and it's just is a very archaic system. Again, this theater was built in 1977, and you just no longer can and get the lighting for that. So we would replace all the lighting in there as well, with on the stage and within the theater. When it comes to our track, so this is again with that long-term planning. They've been to our track as well. Several years ago, we had it repainted, and again, some of the cracks sealed, and some of the places that were really bad, we actually had them cut them out and replace them. Some of the portions of the track, but it's just come to a point where that continues to deteriorate and is no longer safe to use for track meets. We figure it's been well over a decade since we've hosted a high school track meet here. um, we just don't have the track in good enough shape and ability to able to host a meet due to the conditions of the track. Again, these are just two examples. If you now that we have the nice weather here, take a walk around the track and you'll see these significant cracks and the significant patches that are found throughout the track. I would ask you, if you do that, pay particular attention to lane one on the first corner of the track or on the east end of the track. Lane one, there's actually about a 6 inch, 4 to 6 inch dip, just because again the foundation is no longer as good underneath there, and you're actually seeing the track starting to sink a little bit there in the corner of that track. So again, just needs to be replaced, and that led to the bigger idea of this track and football field complex as we move forward, and came up with the idea of the athletic complex. If you kind of to go along with that track, if you go to the outfield of the baseball field, or what's also used for our football field, we feel that that is also an area that's over the years has been a safety concern. There are severe divots and holes that compile during the football season. The spring comes, we try to roll those out and treat the field as best as possible for baseball. But the bottom line is, there's so many divots and just areas throughout that field that just make that unsafe from playing. And again, I would highly encourage, take that tour yourself, walk in that outfield, and you'll see for yourself the bumps and how easily your ankle is twisting just as you walk through the outfield of that field. So again, that's what led to putting that football field inside of this 8-lane track. So we completely remove the current track that's in place, replace that track with an 8-lane track, and then inside of that would be the football field. And we'll just kind of walk you through what else would be included. In this picture, you see the grandstand. That grandstand would seat 500 people. This is a view from the west. This would also, on the left-hand side of your screen, shows you the long and triple jump pits would be on the farther end of this picture. And then the closer end here is pole vault pit that would be included as well. You can kind of see on this north end of the track, the 2 light posts. So there'd be a total of 4 light posts that would be included and built in for this, so that we could light up the track and the football field if necessary, if we get into low light conditions. Then if you move between the baseball field, the current baseball field and the current track, this referendum and this complex calls for a concession stand. Again, the concession stand would be 1,500 square feet, would have a concession stand as well as bathrooms, male and female bathrooms, and a changing area for the referees for these ball games. Then we look in the parking lots. Again, this is actually shot from the east. When you look from the east to the west, this is the parking lot. On the closest to you is where the current softball and baseball field is. That's all a grass area. We'd be converting that area into a parking lot. So we had additional parking for the events. Let me just go back here. And then also where the current, you don't see it on this picture, but where the current tennis court sits, there would also be a parking lot in that area as well. And again, up to 186 vehicles. Again, just that reminder, why are we doing this? What's the project scope? Again, we've had a long range facility plan here, and to a point that we address those things every year, but it's come to a point where we can't afford to do all those things on that list as the list gets bigger, and just felt that this is the time, based on what we've done financially in our district, that we can go to referendum, not impact our taxpayers' levy, and provide a wonderful complex for our students. That, again, we really want to enforce that we do have the best educational facilities in the area, and we just feel it's time, well overdue, for athletic facilities to be upgraded. We like to look around and compare the Dairyland Conference. You go to Melrose, you go to Blair Taylor, you go to Whitehall, Independence, CFC, Augusta. All of those school districts have tracks, 8-lane tracks or bigger, with the football field located on the inside of them. So again, we want to remain competitive and attracting people to our district. And I feel this is the last straw that really could make our facility stand out. And I guess one other thing I wanted to mention too is, we drive down the main streets of our communities, whether you live in Elma Center or Merrilan or Humbird. And if you have lived here a long period of time, or even if you're new to the district, one of the things you notice is that we're not a thriving community when it comes to businesses. And we often say, man, we've got to protect our small towns. And I truly believe that schools are the center of what brings our communities together, whether it's a band concert, a choir concert, a basketball game, football game, volleyball game, baseball, softball, whatever sport it may be, that brings our communities together. And so we have to provide and have these facilities so that we can remain a community that is viable and attracts people here. Again, there's so many things we love about living in this small town and small communities, and we just want to make sure that our district continues to sustain and thrive. And I really feel that this athletic complex and this facility upgrade with our elementary and junior senior high school is a way in which we can do that. The final piece I just want to mention again here is just, if this is a statistic on the right, this past fall, there were several school districts, I believe it was around that 45 mark, that went to referendum for debt issuance, and 88% of those passed. And so the point of this slide is not to put the pressure or say we need to do this. It's just to say that our state is has been very supportive of our districts and schools. And as we know, this last year hasn't been easy, and it was great to see that these school districts, for the most part, were supported throughout the state of Wisconsin. And hopefully after this next referendum election on April 6th, we can say the same thing for our Elma Center-Humbird-Merrilan School District. As the ballot reads, again, the ballot question says, shall the school district of Elma Center-Humbird-Merrilan, Jackson, and Clark Counties, Wisconsin, be authorized to issue pursuant to Chapter 67 of the Wisconsin statutes, general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $4,900,000 for the public purpose of paying the cost of a school building and facility improvement project consisting of construction of a new athletic stadium complex, energy efficiency and capital maintenance improvements at all school buildings, site improvements, and acquisition of furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. So again, that's what the ballot will read when you go to the polls on April 4th or April 6th, excuse me. Again, just ask you to get out and vote on Tuesday, April 6th. Truly appreciate you taking that effort and taking your opportunity to vote in this upcoming election. I don't believe I see any questions in the chat. So, we would open up to questions at this time, but I don't see that there are any there. I would encourage you, I just want to share one more screen here before we conclude this evening. This is our district webpage. And if you go to our district webpage, www.lincolnhornets.org, and go to the referendum tab and click on information, there are 4 or 5 different tabs where you can choose from. Similar to what you saw tonight, the referendum fact sheet, there's some FAQs, some questions that we started hearing early on, we put together as well. So that is out there. The long range planning, where we came up with these ideas, and then the summary of our energy efficiency, and then some more athletic complex design and 3D photos. This presentation will be available as well. We'll be posting that there this evening for all those that weren't able to attend. So again, I appreciate you coming out this evening, listening to this presentation. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out via email, paul_fisher@achm.k12.wi.us, or simply call me at 715-964-8271. Again, thank you everyone for attending, and have a great evening.